William Stewart Collins, Detective Superintendent attached to the Fulchester Division. You stand accused on 4 counts of corruption contrary to common law. The charges are as follows. That on April the 1st, 1975, at Fulchester, you did corruptly receive from Charles Wallace a bribe, namely £250. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
That on June the 11th, 1975, at Fulchester, you did corruptly receive from Charles Wallace a bribe, namely £150, and the services of Miss Tracy Lane, a female escort agent for the night. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
That on August the 21st, 1975, at Fulchester, you did corruptly receive from Charles Wallace a bribe, namely £250. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
That on October the 10th, 1975, at Fulchester, you did corruptly receive from Charles Wallace a bribe, namely £500. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Several months ago at the Fulchester Crown Court, Superintendent Collins appeared as a chief witness for the prosecution in the Charles Robbins murder case. Robbins was brutally murdered at his home Charters paddock. Superintendent Collins was in charge of the investigation. Alan Stockwell was accused of the murder and brought to trial, but he was acquitted.
Robert Markham, please.
Robert Markham.
This man was also a witness against Stockwell. Today he appears as a prosecution witness against Superintendent Collins. There is no obvious link between the earlier murder case and this charge of bribery, but Superintendent Collins maintains that there is. He will be defended by Mr. Kelly, QC. Prosecuting for the Crown is Mr. Elliott, QC. Mr. Justice Crowther-Smith presides in the case of the Crown against Collins.
You're Robert Markham of 8 Marigold Court, Empire Drive, Fulchester West?
Yes.
And you run a minicab business?
Yeah, just a few cars.
And would you please tell us what happened on the morning of October the 9th of last year?
Yeah, that was the day that I went to the offices of the Fulchester Echo to see Ian Clark. I thought he might be able to help me with some problem I had.
And Mr. Clark is a reporter on that paper, is he not?
Yeah, that's right.
And exactly what problem did you take to him?
Well, I wanted to tell him that I knew that Superintendent Collins was taking earners from the Half Moon Club.
What do you mean by earners?
Well, that he was receiving money from the owner of the club, my lord.
In return for what?
Protection.
Protection from what?
Well, I didn't actually go into it, but I mean, a club can sort of get spoilt by the wrong sort of people going in it, and Collins was there to keep them out.
Is that all?
Well, like I say, I didn't ask too many questions, but, well, yeah, I suppose there was a little bit of money getting laundered there from time to time.
What does that mean?
Well, laundered money. Well, you go into a club and you buy, say, £1,000 worth of chips, and then you start to gamble, and you lose perhaps, well, 100, and so you let people know that you're a sort of small-time punter, and then you go in and collect your chips. But you get your 900 back in a sort of, well, either as a money warrant or as a cheque. And like that, you claim it as a gaming win and you don't pay no tax.
And you're saying that Superintendent Collins knew all about this?
Oh, yeah.
I see. Yes, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, my lord. Now, how did Mr. Collins, the accused, receive his money?
Well, I used to go to the Half Moon Club, and Charlie Wallace, he runs the club, he used to give me the money in an envelope.
Mm-hmm. And how many occasions did you collect this money for Collins?
Well, there was 3 occasions before I went to the newspaper, and then the collection, the time after that, was the 4th, yeah.
And when was the first collection made?
On April the 1st. I remember, because when I give Collins the envelope, he laughed. He said, we could do with a few more April Fools like that, couldn't we?
What did you take that to mean?
Well, he wanted to get onto the payroll of some other clubs.
The other payments?
Well, they were about 2-month intervals.
Now, these other payments, the first was for £250, the second for £150, and the third was for £250. Now, why did the June payment go down?
Collins said that he owed that.
For what, did he say?
Well, see, Wallace runs this female escort agency, and Collins wanted to borrow one of the girls for the night.
I see. Now, the 4th payment was for £500, double that of any other. Why was that?
Collins started to get a bit greedy. He said that he wasn't far off from retiring and that he wanted it to be a comfortable one and he was going to get all he could while he was still in circulation.
Why didn't you go to the newspaper in April of last year, when, according to you, all this started?
Collins persuaded me not to, my lord.
How did he persuade you?
Well, he said he'd make sure I was put away for a spell if I didn't do what he wanted. Like he said, well, it was only his word against mine.
So in April, you decided to do as he asked, and in October, you went to the newspaper. Why did you change your mind?
Well, things was getting worse. I felt that I was getting sort of sucked in. So I thought to myself, well, if I went about it right, I'd be all right, and that Collins wouldn't be able to fit me up.
I see. Yes, Mr. Henry.
So you then went to see Mr. Clark at the paper?
Yeah. But, I mean, he didn't believe me. When I told him, he didn't want to know. So I said to him, I said, well, look, you ring the palace and find out from Collins what exactly...
Just a minute. Not so fast. The palace.
Look, the police station, my lord. We call it the palace on account of the lovely way it's decorated.
It's all grey.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, Mr. Henry.
So you told Clark to phone the police station?
Yeah. So he did. And then when Collins comes on the line, I said to him, I said, hello, Bill. I said, it's Bob here. I want to talk to you about that 500 quid. I said, I don't think that, that Charlie will, you know, give you that much. So by this time, the reporter's starting to take me a little bit more seriously, like. And he rushes out the office and goes and fetches his editor, he says. So then Collins says to me, he says, well, you know, come down and talk to me at the police station, don't talk over the phone. And then the reporter comes back, and I tell him what Collins has said. So he suggests that I put a tape recorder on myself. So that's what we do. He straps this recorder on me with some sort of sticky tape stuff, and then I put my shirt back on. But you can still see it, so then Clark lends me a jacket to put over it. So then I go down and see Collins.
Exhibit number 2, please. My lord, members of the jury, this is the recorder that was used to tape the conversation between Robert Markham and the accused. With your permission, my lord, I would like to play it.
Certainly.
It's you son of a bitch. What are you?
Oh, you got out of bed the wrong side this morning, didn't you?
You suddenly got a thing for the phone?
Didn't you want me to phone you?
You know what can happen over the blower?
Oh, you don't want no one to know about this cash, then?
Talk soft, sonny. I'd really be in it, wouldn't I?
Well, I would be listening.
You never know when there's an intercept on.
You'd know about it, wouldn't you?
We never know what our left hand's doing.
All right, I'm sorry.
Don't stand there like a great fairy.
You sure this room's not bugged?
But I'd be talking like this if it was. What's up? You in pain?
No, I think I pulled a muscle in my back.
Don't cramp your style.
Look, Bill, I want out of this.
There's no harm in wanting.
Well, I just want to be left alone.
I'm done you a few favors, now you're doing me a few. You're not legging it now.
Oh, what do you do? Plant something on me, get me pulled in.
You know me, Bob.
Oh, well, I haven't got much choice then, have I?
You don't think he'll go for the 500 then, eh?
I don't think he will, no.
You tell Wallace this. If 500 doesn't suit, then I'll be down his throat and I won't be on my own.
Well, I think he might let you have it when he knows you mean business.
He better. I want a happy retirement. There's a lot of comfort in it, you know.
You don't want to get too greedy.
What are you talking about? I need that 500 more than he does. His pimps make him a fortune. I promised my wife a real flash holiday.
Well, 500 won't take you far.
All adds up. Get a bit here, a bit there. Before you know who you are, you're stacked up with the stuff.
Well, it's all in your house.
You must be joking.
You don't want the law during a raid, eh?
True. Are you going to sit there all day?
All right. I'll go and see Wallace. See if he agrees to the 500.
Yeah. Do that.
You said it would have to be tomorrow.
You collect it and bring it to the Yellow Lantern.
And then you can go on your holidays.
See you, Bob.
If you agree, shall I get in touch?
No need.
All right. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Markham, would you please tell us what happened on the following evening? That would be October the 10th of last year.
Well, then, after I collected the money from Wallace, I went to the Yellow Lantern. Collins was waiting for me there, very patient he was in his corner, and watching everything like a hawk, except, of course, that he didn't see the law.
And you then handed him the £500 in the envelope?
Yeah, and he put it straight in his pocket. Then we had a drink, and then he said he'd better be going. But as he was walking towards the door, that's when he was stopped.
By two plain-clothed police officers?
Yeah, well, one of them was wearing a dress.
Yeah, but they were posing as customers at that time, correct?
Yeah, that's right. But I made quite sure that they could see me hand over the envelope quite clearly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Markham.
Mr. Markham, on the evening of October the 10th last year, you handed Superintendent Collins an envelope containing £500.
Yes.
And this was the first time you'd given Superintendent Collins money, wasn't it?
No, it was the fourth.
We've only your word, you see, for those supposed earlier payments.
Yeah.
Those supposed earlier payments weren't observed by the police, were they?
No.
You're asking the court to accept those uncorroborated payments on the strength of the alleged fourth payment, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you were meant to collect something from Mr. Wallace at the Half Moon Club, but it wasn't money, was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh. The accused didn't know the envelope contained money, did he?
Well, I don't know what else he thought it was.
He thought it contained information. You were to go to see Charles Wallace, collect the information, and if Collins was satisfied, far from taking £500, he was going to pay that sum to Wallace on the following day. Isn't that the truth?
Well, you heard the tape.
Yes, we heard the tape. Now, where did you go after you taped your conversation with Superintendent Collins?
I went to the Half Moon Club.
Yes, to see your friend, Charlie Wallace.
Well, hardly a friend.
Did you tamper with that tape?
No.
Did you sit down on your own and edit that tape?
No, I did not.
Did Charles Wallace sit down on his own and edit that tape?
No, he did not.
I suggest you sat down together and edited that recording to make it look as though Superintendent Collins were guilty of corruption.
The recorder never left my back.
How long was it strapped there?
Well, about an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half. In fact, you left the newspaper office at 10:30 a.m. and you returned at 12:15 p.m. 1 3/4 hours. Now, that's plenty of time for that recording to be edited.
Yeah, but look, it took me half an hour to get to the police station. I was hanging around for about 5 minutes. Then I went in to see Collins. I was with him for about 5 minutes as well. After that, I went to the club to see Charlie Wallace. Well, he went in and kept me waiting, so I was there for about half an hour as well.
And all this time enjoying the discomfort of a recorder strapped to your back?
Well, I didn't have much choice, did I? I told you he was out. I had to wait for him. Then it took me another, 15 minutes to get back to the newspaper
Yes, you wouldn't
office.
have had time to edit the recording with all that travelling, would you, Mr. Markham?
Well, no, exactly.
That is, if you went to the Half Moon Club.
What do you mean?
Well, it is possible, Mr. Markham, that you went straight from the police station to somewhere where you could edit that tape. Possibly somewhere just around the corner. Now, let's see, the journey from the newspaper office takes me, outside rush hour, that is, about 15 minutes. Nevertheless, I'll grant you the half an hour you say it took you. Say 20 minutes to get back. That gives you 55 minutes to edit that recording.
Except that I was in the Half Moon Club talking to Charlie Wallace.
Yes, so you say. Now, how long have you known the accused?
Well, I first met him back in 1969.
What business were you in?
At the time, I was involved in the magazine industry.
Magazines. What kind of magazines?
Well, pictures, mostly.
Pictures?
All right, girly magazines, then.
Yes. Would you describe these magazines as hard porn?
No way. Not now they wouldn't
Not
be.
now, but they were then.
Well, I mean...
Yes or no?
Well, I mean, Lady Chatterley was pornographic
Oh, I
once, wasn't
see.
it?
Your magazines had a literary quality, did they?
Well, I'd like to think so.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
My Lord, I fail to see how this is relevant to this case.
Lord, I believe it to be important to establish the relationship between this witness and the accused over the past years.
Yes, very well.
Thank you, my lord. Now, it was through these magazines that you met Superintendent Collins, wasn't it?
Yeah. He come and had a look around my shop. And he was ferreting around amongst some contract magazines we used to make up. And he said I could get 2 years for them. And then he said he could help me if I was prepared to help him.
Oh, yes? What kind of help did he want?
Well, you know, sort of tip him the wink if I heard of anything going
Yes,
on.
in other words, he enlisted your assistance as an informer.
Yeah.
He wasn't taking bribes then.
I didn't know him very well then.
In fact, he sometimes paid you, didn't he?
Well, he kept the law off, yeah.
Yes. How long did this go on?
Up until 1972.
And then what happened?
Well, then my shop got raided again. Collins said that the pressure was on and that he couldn't help me now even if I continued to help him. So they took all my stock and I got 3 months. Then when I come out, I started the minicab business with my brother.
And you still continued working for Collins?
Well, yeah, if I heard of anything, I'd tip him the wink.
And he would pay you in return?
That's when he started to pay me.
Yes. How much?
How much what?
How much were the payments?
Well, it varied.
From?
Could be a fiver.
Could be a fiver. Up to?
Well, I mean, if it was a big sort of insurance reward job, I mean, it could be more.
Say £1,000?
Well, not often.
Not often. So the money you were getting at this time came from your minicab business with your brother and the money you were getting from Markham, from Superintendent Collins.
Yeah.
And you do some work at the Yellow Lantern nightclub?
No, I used to do a lot of driving for him.
Oh, you don't know?
No, because since then I've bought a small business interest in the club.
Oh, have you? I see. And the accused used this club, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
In fact, it was you who introduced him to that club.
That's right.
And this club, it was frequented by quite a number of high-class villains.
He had a very mixed clientele.
Yes, I'm sure. Were there any illegal practices going on at this club?
Not that I know of.
Was the proprietor, Mr. Paul Matthews, paying the superintendent a weekly sweetener?
Not that I know of.
Oh, and you think you would have done?
Yeah, I think so. As I told you, I've got an interest in the club.
Yes, of course, and you're a personal friend of the proprietor, aren't you?
Yes.
In fact, you've been on holiday with him.
That's right.
You call yourself one of the gang.
What gang?
You're one of the group of friends, I mean.
Thought you meant something else.
Oh, did you? Now, Mr. Matthews didn't mind having a policeman in his club?
No, why should he?
The other clients, they didn't mind having a policeman in their club?
Not as far as I know.
Were you selective in the information you gave Superintendent Collins?
Oh, I mean, if I heard of anything going on, I used to tell him.
Did you suspect at all that Collins might be engaged in some investigation against Mr. Paul Matthews?
No, I didn't suspect nothing like
And
that.
is that why the word went out?
What word?
Break Collins. Let's get him. Let's put him away for the duration.
You've been watching too many old films.
What made the informer inform on the man who paid him?
You mean me?
Yes, you, Mr. Markham.
Like I said, I just got fed up.
Or was it greed made you set it up?
Greed?
Yes, weren't you offered a sum of money by the newspaper?
No.
Was there no mention of money?
Well, yeah, Ian Clark did say something about selling it to the Sundays, yeah.
Oh, did he? Did Ian Clark say what might be made from selling it to the Sundays?
No, no sum was mentioned.
Nevertheless, you thought you could make more from the newspaper than by being a police informer, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Collins is on his way out, so you thought you'd clean up, didn't you?
Oh, well, I suppose you've got to say that, haven't you?
Say what?
Well, look, that's why I went to see Clark, and that's why I recorded the conversation with
And
Collins.
tampered with it afterwards.
I did not tamper with it.
Now, Mr. Markham, correct me if I'm wrong, were you not in the criminal court in 1973?
Yes.
And when you were in the witness box, as indeed you are now, were you not under oath?
Yeah, of course I was.
And you pleaded not guilty?
Yes, I did.
And the jury found you guilty?
Yes, they did.
Yes, so the jury chose not to believe your oath.
Well, I suppose they can't.
And are you guilty of perjury today?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Markham.
You understand, my learned friend. He has said because you stood up in court and were found to be guilty after pleading not guilty, your word can never mean anything. That is the reason for not trusting him.
It is not the reason.
Well, I'm sorry, my lord, but the questioning was in the following order. When you were in the witness box, were you under oath? You pleaded not guilty, you were found guilty, and are you guilty of perjury today?
Yes, I know, Mr. Elliot. Mr. Markham, would you tell lies if you thought it would get you out of trouble?
Well, yeah, probably, my lord, yeah.
Would you tell lies if you thought it would do you a bit of good?
Well, I have done, yeah, but I'm not lying now. I mean, I was Collins' collector. I did make that recorded conversation with him, and I did give him the money. You don't have to take my word for it. I realise that the word of somebody who's had a couple of convictions is not going to carry much weight. That's why I made sure there was a couple of good witnesses there. 2 police officers. I mean, they don't come much more reliable than that, do they?
Mr. Clark, how did you react when Markham came to your office and made these allegations against Superintendent Collins?
At first, I was a bit sceptical. I knew the accused, you see. At least I'd interviewed him on a couple of occasions for articles that I was writing.
Yes, he seemed to you to be a man of some integrity.
Yes,
And it was what Markham said to him over the telephone in your office that made you change your mind.
that's right, yes.
Would you remind the court of the exact words that Markham used on your telephone in your office?
Well, he said, I want to talk to you about the 500 quid. I don't think Wallace will wear it.
Now, you're quite sure that those are the exact words that Markham used?
Yes.
He didn't say, I want to talk to you about the 500 quid. I don't think Wallace will give you that much.
No, it was definitely, I don't think Wallace will wear it.
Well, then Markham forgot the exact words that he used.
Well, it means the same thing, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't, you see. You see, Markham remembers saying, I want to talk to you about the 500 quid. I don't think Wallace will give you that much. Now, that would imply that Wallace was being asked for the 500 pounds. Now, what you remember is, I want to talk to you about the 500 quid. I don't think Wallace will wear it. Now, that is open to quite a different interpretation, isn't it? I don't think Wallace will wear it. I think he'll want more than 500 quid for the information he is selling.
Yes, but he didn't say that. I mean, he didn't say all that.
But you weren't there to hear the rest of the conversation. You'd rushed off to find your editor.
Yes, I thought I should tell him.
Well, yes, of course, you were very excited, weren't you? It isn't every day you're offered such a scoop, is it?
Oh, I wasn't thinking about myself.
Well, of course you weren't. No, you're still young, idealistic.
Is there something wrong with that?
Are you sure your idealism didn't blind you to the reality of the situation?
No, it did not.
Were you hoping to make money out of this story?
I told Markham I thought he'd be able to sell his story to the Sundays, but I never thought about myself.
Why did you agree to take part?
Because I believe the job of a newspaper, rather one of the functions of a newspaper, is to expose anything that is bad in society. And I believe police corruption to be bad.
And from one enigmatic sentence, you decide that Superintendent Collins is corrupt. I suggest that you didn't take enough care.
No, I took enough care to let a recorded conversation speak for itself.
Did you tamper with that tape?
Not for £1 million, no.
Now, I'm sure the jury will have little doubt as to your sincerity.
Thank you.
But to all intents and purposes, you might just as well have tampered with that tape.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, did it never occur to you that it might have been a discontinuous recording?
But Markham couldn't have turned it on or off during the conversation. It was strapped to his back. I mean, he could only switch it on with a very awkward movement.
Yes, did you see Markham enter the police station?
No, I was in my office.
You didn't think to go with him?
Well, the editor was off.
So you don't know that the conversation actually took place?
Well, I must have done.
You don't know that someone wasn't doing a clever impersonation of Superintendent Collins? All right, let's say the conversation took place, or rather a conversation took place. Between leaving your office and returning, Markham was away for 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, that's plenty of time for that recording to be thoroughly edited.
But there would be joins in the tape then.
Well, not if the edited recording were then re-recorded on another machine. Unless, of course, you took the precaution of marking the original tape. Did you do that?
No. No,
Thank you. No further questions.
Tell us, Mr. Clark, just how the recorder was strapped to Markham's back.
I wound this sticky tape around him at least 16 times.
And how did he react when you pulled it off?
He was very good about it, but it was painful. It took me about 20 minutes to get it off.
And what was your impression of the binding? I mean, did it look as if it had been tampered with at all?
No, it didn't. It was the same. If it had been taken off, it would have lost its sticking power. And the thing is, my signature was still on the back.
Your signature?
Yes, I put my signature on the back with a felt pen. On the binding over the recording, just to make sure. I mean, if the binding had been taken off, then my signature wouldn't have fitted. That's what I was trying to say.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
The jury in this case is comprised of members of the general public. The Queen against Collins will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Superintendent William Stewart Collins has been accused of taking bribes involving money and the services of a female escort agent. Charles Wallace, who runs the Half Moon Club, has just given evidence stating that he paid several bribes to Superintendent Collins. Now, one of his employees has been called to the witness box.
Miss Lane, you work for an escort agency run by Mr. Charles Wallace at an office 34 West High Street, Fulchester?
Yes, that's right.
Now, would you please tell us what happened on the evening of June the 11th of last year?
I was at the Half Moon Club about 9. Collins was there. He gave me the once-over.
Would you please explain that for the court, Miss Lane?
Oh, you know, stripped me with his eyes. Then he told Mr. Wallace he wanted to buy me for the night. Well, Mr. Wallace told him he ran an escort agency, not a prose service.
I see. Then what happened?
He said he was going to call the police.
But he was the police.
Exactly.
Hmm?
He was having a joke, my lord.
Oh.
Anyway, then Collins took my arm and shouted to Wallace to take it out of his rake-off.
Do you know what he meant by that?
Yes. The money Wallace was paying him. You see, I was in the club the night it started.
Mm-hmm. When was this?
The end of March. I remember because we had an April Fool's do the next day.
Can you remember what happened that night?
Yes. I was at a table with Mr. Wallace when Collins joined us. He told Mr. Wallace he'd seen some people taking drinks into the gaming room, and he asked him if he knew this was against the Gaming Act. Mr. Wallace said he'd look into it. He said it wasn't the policy. Then Collins said he wanted £250. He said it would buy a little bit of protection as well. The next night, Markham came round to collect it.
Did you actually see that happen, Miss Lane?
Well, you see, Mr. Wallace had to go away, so actually I had to hand the envelope over to Mr. Markham.
I see. Yeah.
Thank you, my lord. Let us come now to return to June the 11th when Collins said, "Take it out of my rake-off." What did Mr. Wallace reply?
He told me to go with Collins.
You mean back to your flat?
Mr. Wallace said to keep him sweet.
And tell us what happened between the two of you.
What do you think?
Miss Lane, did you have sexual intercourse with the accused?
He'd paid for it, hadn't he?
Thank you. Were there other occasions?
Yes,
Where did this take place?
at my flat.
Did he ever pay you on any of these other occasions?
And not on the game, you know. It only happened once like that. He'd buy me a little present, that's all.
Exhibit number 3, please. Now, Miss Lane, do you recognize this lighter? It's inscribed to Tracy, much love, W.C.
Yes?
Now, who gave you that?
Well, sure as hell it didn't come out of the water closet. W.C.?
Did the accused give you that lighter, Miss Lane?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you know why he gave it to you?
He was fond of me.
Now, did he ever discuss his attitude towards his work with you?
Well, he did say being a policeman made him feel like Humpty Dumpty. I thought he'd gone round the twist.
We don't want to hear what you thought, Miss Lane. Did he explain what he meant?
Yes. He said that he was put on the wall by the people to watch the people, but if ever he fell off that wall, all the king's horses and all the king's men wouldn't put him together again.
Yes.
What else did he say?
He said there was this new idea for moving policemen round every couple of years, and he said that would spike his bribes.
Spike his bribes? Did he say how many bribes he was taking?
No, but he said it was no good going too bent, because if your regular money was too low for the way you were living, well, it could be difficult. You know, explaining the extras. So he said he had to enjoy it quietly and spend it. So he's always buying me something.
Did he give you these presents himself?
Well, no, as a matter of fact, he'd give me the money and I'd go out and buy them because he didn't want them traced back to him, you see, the presents. If anything went wrong. He bought me that lighter himself, though.
When did he give you that?
3 or 4 weeks before the last payment. I remember because it's when he warned me to get out of the escort agency.
Warned you? Why did he warn you?
He said he was going to set it up to make it look as though Wallace was running high-class prostitution.
Did he tell you just how he intended to set this up?
No, but he said he could get witnesses. He said he was owed a few favours.
You mean he could get witnesses who were willing to perjure themselves?
That's right.
Did he ever say why he was doing this?
He said he wanted to double his earners from Wallace, and he'd have to pay up with the prostitution threat. I said he was getting greedy, but he said he wanted to cash in while he could, while he was still in circulation.
Thank you, Miss Lane.
How long have you been a whore, Miss Lane?
I'm a model, and I sometimes work as an escort agent.
But you sold yourself that night.
I took Collins back to my flat because I wanted to.
Not for money.
Look, I didn't care about any arrangement he had with Wallace.
There wasn't any arrangement with Wallace that night, was there?
Yes, there was.
The accused did indeed go back with you to your flat, but he went to question you about the escort agency, didn't he?
Look, he had paid for me with part of his bribe. He expected to go to bed with me.
What's your relationship with Charles Wallace?
He's a friend.
Are you his mistress, Miss Lane?
No.
It's true, isn't it? You lived with him 2 years ago.
Yes, but he's a friend. Look, he's my boss.
And are you telling lies because Mr. Wallace asked you to?
No.
Or because Mr. Markham told you to?
No.
You described yourself as a model.
That's right.
How much did you earn modelling last year?
Not much.
Now, it's a hard life, modelling. How much did you earn?
£80.
During the whole of last year?
Yes.
Yes. Now, you have a 3-bedroom furnished flat at Hampton Cloisters, Newby Place, Fulchester.
Yes.
And 3-bedroom flats cost £25 a week.
Yes.
And you weren't working with the escort agency last year. What paid for all this?
Oh, Charles Wallace paid.
Well, members of the jury, I do not propose to address the court regarding the defence at this stage. With your permission, my lord, I will call the accused straight away.
Very well.
Thank you, my lord. I call Detective Superintendent Collins.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. William Stuart Collins, under temporary suspension from my duties as Detective Superintendent attached to the Fulchester Division, my lord.
Superintendent Collins, is Charles Wallace, manager of the Half Moon Club, known to you?
Yes, he is.
And have you visited the Half Moon?
Yes, I have.
On several occasions?
Yes.
For what reason?
Well, I carried out surveillance of a general nature.
Would you explain that to the court, Superintendent?
The club was frequented from time to time by people who were able to help the police into their inquiries.
Was there surveillance of the club itself?
Well, no, not directly. Of course, it was checked that the club was keeping its nose clean.
And was it, keeping its nose clean?
As far as one could ascertain, yes.
Did you take bribes from the manager, Mr. Charles Wallace?
I've never taken a bribe.
Did you observe drinking in the gaming room?
Once a man went in with a drink, I gave Mr. Wallace a friendly warning.
Did you observe the practice known as laundered money being carried out?
I did not.
Mr. Wallace has alleged that you had threatened to make it look as though you were running a high-class prostitution service. Did you?
I did not.
Did you tell Mr. Wallace you could find witnesses willing to perjure themselves?
No, I did not.
Is Miss Tracy Lane known to you?
Yes, she is.
How long have you known her?
Well, I first met her at the Half Moon Club in February of last year.
And did you meet her on subsequent occasions?
Yes.
In connection with what?
Sometimes she was able to guide me to sources of information.
Was she an informer?
No, you certainly couldn't call her that.
But did you pay her for her help?
No. I gave her a lighter last September for her birthday. It's a sort of thank you for your help.
And on June the 11th of last year, did you take her services as a prostitute as part payment of a bribe Charles Wallace alleges he was to have paid?
I did not.
When did she last guide you to information?
It would be October the 6th of last year. She told me that she thought Wallace had something on the killing of Charles Robbins. I spoke to Wallace, and he said he thought he could get evidence as to the identity of the murderer. He said the information would cost £1,000. I told him to get the evidence first, and then we'd talk about the money later.
Did he say what form this evidence might take?
Well, yes, he said there were several letters. He wouldn't reveal the identity until he had seen the letters. He said he could obtain them in 3 or 4 days' time.
Well, I telephoned Markham that evening and asked him if he had heard about these letters. He said he hadn't, but that he would keep his eyes open. Well, then, 2 days later, on the 8th, Wallace phoned me again and told me he was expecting those letters on the 10th. But he didn't want to see me again. He wanted everything to be done through an intermediary. He said he had contacted Markham and that everything should be done through Markham, I beg your pardon, sir, through Markham from then on. He said it was too hot for him to be seen with me.
And on the morning of October the 9th, did you receive a telephone call from Mr. Robert Markham?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
Well, it was about the Wallace deal. I told him to come over, and he arrived about 10 to 11.
And unbeknown to you, had a tape recorder strapped to his back.
That's right.
And recorded the conversation.
Yes?
So, Superintendent, it was your voice on the tape recording we heard earlier.
Oh, yes?
In fact, every word spoken on that tape recording was indeed spoken by you and Robert Markham.
That's correct. The only thing is that half the conversation is gone. It's been sliced out. I've since prepared a transcript of the full conversation, and within a word or two, I believe it to be accurate.
My lad, members of the jury, I would ask your patience as I play this tape again. May I, my lad?
Certainly.
Only this time, the tape will be stopped, and parts which I submit have been edited out will be replaced. Now, I will read the words spoken by Robert Markham that have been edited out, and the accused those words spoken by himself.
It's you son of a bitch. What are you?
Oh, you got out of bed the wrong side this morning, didn't you?
You suddenly got a thing for the phone?
Markham, what's so secret?
I haven't taken it upstairs, have I? I'm on my own. I don't want my superiors in on it, do I? You go upstairs and say you're paying your own cash, they'll say, because it's over anything in the fund. Wait, they'll say, this is a policy decision. It'll have to go right to the top. By the time you get a thumbs down, or, if you're lucky, the go-ahead, the whole thing has gone cold. I want this information. I want it more than anything.
Didn't you want me to phone you?
You know what can happen over the blower?
Oh, you don't want no one to know about this cash, then?
Talk soft, sonny. I'd really be in it, wouldn't I?
Well, who'd be listening?
You never know when there's an intercept on.
You'd know about it, wouldn't you?
We never know what our left hand's doing.
All right, I'm sorry.
Markham, he's being difficult.
What? Over the money?
Right.
Have you told him it's coming out of my own pocket?
He says you'll get it back off old man Robbins. He'd be dead chuffed to know who'd done for his son.
Don't stand there like a great fairy.
You sure this room's not bugged?
But I'd be talking like this if it was. What's up? You in pain?
No, I think I pulled a muscle in my back.
A little crampier style.
Look, Bill, I want out of this.
There's no harm in wanting.
Well, I just want to be left alone.
I'm done you a few favors, now you're doing me a few. You're not legging it now.
Oh, what do you do? Plant something on me, get me pulled in.
You know me, Bob.
You know me, Bob, all bluff. What are you worried about?
I don't like the feel.
I can only appeal to your public duty.
Get stuffed.
You've done all right over the years, Bob. You've done better than most informers. You walk out and it all stops.
Oh, well, I haven't got much choice then, have I?
You don't think he'll go for the 500 then, eh?
I don't think he will, no.
You tell Wallace this. If 500 doesn't suit, then I'll be down his throat and I won't be on my own.
Markham, you really want this info, don't you?
Yes, I do. We both know Stockwell did it. I want to nail him.
If you send in the heavy mob, you'll get nothing off Wallace.
Yes, I know. I think I'll pay him a visit tonight.
I think he's going somewhere to get the information.
You tell him 500 or else.
Well, I think he might let you have it when he knows you mean business.
He better. I want a happy retirement. There's a lot of comfort in it, you know.
You don't want to get too greedy.
You don't want to get too greedy. You can't crack 'em all.
I tell you, Bob, one murder not solved, and you know what I'm like. I'm like the princess with the pea. I lie on the bed and the pea feels like a mountain.
Give old Wallace the 1,000 quid.
What's that? 500 he gets.
You're a tight fist, Bill.
What are you talking about? I need that 500 more than he does. His pimps make him a fortune. I promised my wife a real flash holiday.
Well, 500 won't take you far.
Oh, I don't know. Something like it. It'll take us far enough.
How is your wife?
Collecting for another jumble sale.
I don't know where they get it from.
Get what?
The junk for these sales.
All adds up. Get a bit here, a bit there. Before you know who you are, you're stacked up with the stuff.
Well, it's all in your house.
You must be joking.
You don't want the law during a raid, eh?
True. Are you going to sit there all day?
All right. I'll go and see Wallace. See if he agrees to the 500.
Yeah. Do that.
You said it would have to be tomorrow.
You collect it and bring it to the Yellow Lantern.
And then you can go on your holidays.
Not without the 500.
You won't be popular with your missus. I wouldn't try and see Wallace tonight. You might bugger everything up.
All right?
See you, Bob.
See you, Bob.
If you agree, shall I get in touch?
No need.
All right. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. And that, Superintendent, is the actual conversation that took place, so far as you can recollect, on October the 9th.
That's right.
You went to the Half Moon Club that evening, though, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Despite Markham warning you that you might indeed ruin everything.
Well, it was instinct. I felt there was something wrong. Anyway, Wallace wasn't there. If he had been, I wouldn't be here now.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Opening your evidence, you said you were under a temporary suspension from the Fulchester Police Force. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Pending the result of this trial, yes.
Interesting. You didn't say under suspension. You said under temporary suspension. You expect to get off, do you, Mr. Collins?
Well, I look upon the accused as innocent until proven guilty.
You don't think you're above the law courts?
No, I do not.
Because you thought you were above the police, didn't you?
I did not.
Well, you broke the rules.
I did not.
Well, you bent the rules.
I did not.
But the taped conversation you had with Markham, you didn't tell your superiors what was going on, did you?
That's correct.
A damning piece of evidence that you couldn't fill in and twist to your own ends, was that it?
I've tried to give an accurate account of the conversation I had with Markham.
Yes, but not informing your superiors, that's more than just bending the rules. That's a violation of the rules, in my book. Not in yours, though.
Any rule that I've bent in that sense has been to help the law, not to help myself.
You describe yourself as a hard detective, wouldn't you? I mean, your career has not been distinguished, particularly for its gentleness.
We're not teaching in the infant school. We deal with hardened criminals. You've got to be hard-backed.
Well, give us an example of this hardness. For instance, exactly how did you get Markham to become an informer?
Is this relevant to the case, Mr. Elliot?
Yes, it is, my lord, and I hope that will be apparent in just a few moments.
Oh, very well.
Thank you, my lord.
I spoke at his trial in the pornography case. I helped get him a light sentence.
In return for his help as an informer?
That's correct.
Yeah. Didn't work, though, did it?
No. I told him he better go straight. He gave me the odd tickle, but I knew he was taking me for a mug. In no time, he was picked up for burglary. I told him he shouldn't take me for a thick wally.
What was that?
A thick wally?
Yes, what does it mean?
A uniformed constable, my lord.
Does it indeed? Thank you.
Yes, and then you read him the riot act, didn't you? You threatened that you'd put him in prison if he didn't do what you said.
He knew I had him banged to rights. He knew we had him over a barrel.
Yes, you told him you'd see he went to prison for 2 years, correct?
I didn't want him to have a choice. I needed him. I got him off lightly, and he's been working for me ever since.
Well, is that how you get all your informers? By blackmailing and threatening them?
No. Markham was special. I knew he mixed with a lot of high-class villains.
Oh. Was that when this contagion set in? When you started mixing with them yourself?
That's not true.
Isn't it? Did you not then start behaving like them? I mean, you began to think of yourself as a law unto yourself, did you not?
I mixed with criminals in order to catch them. I've said in the past, you can't fight crime according to the Queensberry rules.
Yes, I remember that. But you don't fight to any rules, do you? Do you see what I have here, Mr. Collins? You recognize it? It's your duty book. Well, you know what I'm getting at, don't you? Your meeting with Markham on the 11th of October. It's not recorded. Now, if you were collecting information on a crime, you had nothing to hide. Why did you keep this meeting a secret?
I told you I was working my own.
No, I'm sure you were working on your own. I'm sure you were. According to you, you say you met Miss Lane on the 6th of October. She told you Wallace had information. You met Wallace on the 6th of October. Yes, indeed, he did have some information. You met him again on the 9th of October. And, but you see, I can find none of this in your duty book. There's nothing of your taped conversation with Markham, nothing about the envelope handover for the following night.
There were reasons.
Yes, I suggest the reasons are quite obvious. That you yourself are involved in villainy and corruption.
The reasons, those events are not recorded.
Yes, go on. Go on, we're all listening.
The reason these things do not appear in my duty book is because I thought there was a security leak. In the past, I had put details into my book, and I found the information leaked out.
I see. I see. Well, did you inform your senior officers about this security leak?
I think so.
How can you say you think...
One moment. One moment, Mr. Elliot. You think so? Is it the sort of thing you might forget doing?
Well, no, it's not, my lord.
Did you inform your senior officers?
I mentioned it.
You mentioned it. So, was there an internal investigation into the matter?
Not that I know of.
But surely you would have known if there had been one.
Yes, I would.
So there was no internal inquiry?
No, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Elliot.
I'm obliged to your lordship. You made false entries in your duty book to cover up your movements, did you not?
I was not covering up.
Did you consult your senior officers at all on this matter?
No.
Should you not have done so?
Yes.
Should you not have got their permission to go out and buy information, as you claim you were doing?
I was going to use my own money.
Should you not have covered yourself first from any false allegation?
Yes.
By informing them?
I should have done
Yes.
that. I'm guilty of that.
You are, sir.
It was stupid of me to work so much on my own. I had no idea that I was being set up. I thought if I refer this up, then it'll take such a long time that... Well, then I took it upon myself, the responsibility for the whole thing.
I submit, sir, you took it upon yourself to go to the Yellow Lantern nightclub and pick up your £500 bribe money.
I thought that envelope would contain letters which would lead me to the identity of the killer of Charles Robbins. I would have risked everything to get that information.
Is it not a fact, sir?
Mr. Elliot, the accused has now been in the witness box for some considerable time. I think we should break there. Start again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock precisely.
Order.
The jury in this case is comprised of members of the general public. The Queen against Collins will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court. Superintendent William Stewart Collins has been accused of taking bribes involving money and the services of Miss Tracy Lane. She works for an escort agency run by Charles Wallace. He also manages the Half Moon nightclub. He alleges he paid the bribes to Collins. Collins claims that he was set up for the crime, and when he was handed an envelope at the Yellow Lantern nightclub, he had no idea that it contained £500. He claims he believed the envelope contained information as to the identity of a killer, for which he was going to pay the following day. Superintendent Collins is again in the witness box, and Mr. Elliot, QC, has resumed his cross-examination.
Oh, in your taped conversation with Markham, you referred to Wallace making money through his pimps.
Yes, I did.
Was that true?
I had reasons for believing this to be so.
Pimps live off prostitutes. Were you taking your £500 as hush money?
The reason Wallace was not charged was because of insufficient evidence.
Now, you tell us you talked a lot with Miss Lane.
Yes.
I do like your analogies. Have you told Markham you felt like the princess with the pea problem? You told Miss Lane you felt like Humpty Dumpty. Is that true?
Yes.
Meaning that if your corrupt behavior was found out, you'd have such a hard time putting the pieces back together again, correct?
Meaning I was playing game of chess with high-class villains, meaning a situation like this.
But you even told her about the new idea of transferring detectives around from division to division every couple of years.
Yes, I did. I told her I thought it wouldn't help to catch criminals.
Or did you not say it would spoil the bribes you were taking?
I told her the idea was to stop the temptation of bribes being offered or accepted.
That's not what she says. Now, you don't deny that you know Miss Lane quite well.
I know her quite well, yes.
You've been to her flat.
I've already said.
And you went to her flat on June the 11th.
Yes.
And you stayed the night.
I did not.
Why didn't you? Were you waiving your rights to that part of the payoff?
That is not true.
Say, you slept with a woman.
I stayed quite late.
You didn't put that in your duty book.
I wasn't on duty. I had been on for 24 hours. I have a bed in my office. I slept there because I wanted to make an early start.
Are you a perfect man?
Are you?
Please answer my question.
No man's perfect. Only God is perfect.
Precisely. And that night, you bought yourself a woman, did you not?
I did not.
I suggest you've abused your position as a police officer. You used power to extort bribes from Wallace. You used your toughness to get Markham as an informer, and you used fear to buy Miss Lane.
Yes, I used toughness to get Markham on my side. But I have never taken a bribe from Charles Wallace.
And Miss Lane?
A friend.
A prostitute.
She's a human being.
What are you telling us? That you go to a prostitute's flat in the middle of the night and sit drinking until the wee hours?
Well, she has a mind. I found a great deal to talk to Miss Lane about.
Then just why is she giving this evidence against you? False evidence, according to you.
I liked her. I liked her sense of humor. She was obviously only pretending to like me.
Oh, I see. She was pretending.
Yeah.
Now, you gave Miss Lane a lighter, correct?
That's right.
Does it come as a surprise to learn that it's worth over £300?
I didn't pay that for it.
Huh? Where'd you get it?
Shop in East Street.
What shop in East Street?
It's been pulled down.
Well, what happened to the owner?
I think he died.
That's convenient.
Well, I couldn't help that.
Are you sure?
Really, Milan?
Mr. Elliot, that was a very improper remark.
I'm sorry, my lord.
No good being sorry after the event. You should know better. You are not conducting a slanging match. Do you follow me?
Yes, my lord.
Mr. Kelly, was any attempt made to contact the owner of the shop?
Yes, my lord, attempts were made, but I'm afraid we were unsuccessful.
Very well, you may continue, Mr. Elliot.
Mr. Collins, you were chief witness in the Charles Robbins murder trial, correct?
Yes, I led the investigation.
You, in fact, were the arresting officer, were you not?
I was.
In your evidence, did you tell the court that the accused man had admitted the murder to you?
Yes, I did.
Was the accused man in that case acquitted?
Yes.
So the jury chose not to believe you?
Alan Stockwell was acquitted.
And are you guilty of perjury today?
Milan, despite the verdict of that trial, Superintendent Collins could still have been telling the truth. The accused in that case might well have told the superintendent verbally that he had indeed committed the murder, and then later on at the police station gone back on it. The jury did indeed acquit in that case, but they nevertheless might well have believed Superintendent Collins at the same time.
Yes, you're quite right. I'm sure that Mr. Elliot was not totally unaware of that either. Were you, Mr. Elliot?
No further questions, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Kelly?
I have no questions, my lord.
You may return to the dock.
Thank you.
I should like to call Assistant Chief Constable Pritchard.
Assistant Chief Constable Pritchard.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Douglas Pritchard, Assistant Chief Constable attached to the Fulchester Division, my lord.
Assistant Chief Constable, how long have you known the accused?
I've known him for 15 years.
And what is your opinion, sir, of him as a police officer?
Dogged, determined, brilliant. When I first came into contact with him, I thought he was driven on by ambition, in the sense of going right to the top. I saw him move up. Then when he reached the rank of detective superintendent, he called a stop.
How do you mean?
He'd gone far enough. He'd reached the position where he had a reasonable amount of autonomy. He needed to be in the center of things. He had this enormous flair. He's never lost it.
And it's important to have people with this flair.
Yes, you must have some on the team. He always seems to know where to go to get an investigation off the ground. He belongs in the front line of action.
Where one may get hurt.
Where one may get hurt.
What was his record of detection? Was it high?
He's worked on 36 murder cases. Apart from the Charles Robbins case, he has a 100% record.
And how did he achieve this?
Oh, there can be no doubt. It's the result of his contacts and his own personal bravery. He has many awards. He once actually went into a building and brought out a man holding a shotgun. He talked him out.
The Charles Robbins murder case has never been solved, has it?
No, it has not.
And how has this affected the accused?
Very badly. He blames himself for the investigation failing to find the guilty party.
And is it your opinion he would take risks, any risks, to solve this case?
Most definitely.
Did he in any way suggest to you, sir, that he might be getting some information connected with that case?
No, he always plays things close to his chest, but that's his method. That's the way the man has got his results.
If he had come to you, sir, and said, I want to make false entries in my duty book because of security, and I want to go out and buy information with my own money to get the Robbins killer, what would you have said?
That would have been a matter of policy, and as such, I would have had no choice. I would have referred it up, higher than myself.
And would this have meant a delay?
Most definitely. But I must add that I would have tried very hard to get him what he wanted. You see, there are some brilliant individuals in the force, and room must be given for them to operate. Collins is such a man.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Constable.
Well, you obviously think highly of the accused.
Yes, I do.
I expect you think highly of all your men.
Yes, I do. They all have different qualities.
Very much of a family feeling.
What do you mean?
Well, when you join the force and you're in a particular division, it's very much like a family.
I would not be afraid to criticize another policeman.
And that is how it should be. Now, what view do you take of a man like Collins taking it upon himself to carry out the actions that he did?
Which actions are you referring to?
Oh, you can take your choice. His own evaluation of the situation. He left gaps in his duty book. He made false entries in his duty book. He even arranged clandestine meetings with known criminals. Take your choice.
I think he was probably mistaken.
You think he was probably mistaken?
Yes.
How magnanimous, Assistant Chief Constable. He was breaking every rule in the book. Was he not?
In this case, he should have come to me first.
Because you wouldn't break the rules, would you?
No, I would not.
Because you know that it is not only wrong to break the rules, it's also dangerous.
Yes?
Yes. A policeman realizes that he must, above all else, protect himself from any false accusation.
Yes?
And the accused realized this.
Of course.
And yet he finds himself in a position where he has been seen by 2 police officers to receive £500, and his duty book is full of false entries.
I would trust him with my life.
Your faith leaves me at a total loss for words.
Mr. Pritchard, was an investigation into a possible security leak at the station itself started?
No.
Why was that?
Such a possibility was never suggested. At least I don't remember it being suggested.
Oh, but is it the sort of thing you might easily forget?
No, it is not. If it had come to my notice, I would have ordered it looked into.
You see, the accused stated in his evidence that the reason he made false entries in his duty book because he feared a security leak. He said it had happened in the past.
That is perfectly true. It has happened.
But you knew nothing about it on this occasion.
No, my lord.
You see, the accused stated that he'd mentioned it to you.
He might have mentioned something. I do remember something, but I thought it was referring back to the case we had some time ago.
I see. Yes, Mr. Elliot.
Can you still believe that the accused was looking for information into the Robbins killing?
Yes, I can.
The accused joined the force as an honest man. I suggest, sir, you find it impossible to face the fact that he became dishonest as a policeman because you believe that that would be a disgraceful reflection on the force that allowed that to happen.
I believe that if a policeman is dishonest, he should suffer, and suffer heavily, because he has the faith of the public.
Quite.
A policeman should be above reproach.
And the accused?
I have the fullest faith and confidence in Detective Superintendent William Collins.
Sir, are you not biased through a misguided sense of loyalty?
No, I am not.
Is it not a fact that in times of trouble the ranks close up?
A policeman should be treated no differently from anyone else.
Sir, you have a double ethic here. A policeman should be treated no differently from anyone else. Well, that's a nice pat generalization, but here we have a specific case. And are you not, sir, are you not showing a perfectly understandable reluctance to condemn that brother officer?
My lord, certain information has come to hand which I believe to have a distinct bearing on this case. I have a request to make of your lordship.
What are you saying, Mr. Kelly?
My lord, Superintendent Collins, in his evidence, was unable to reveal the entire truth because it would have prejudiced, indeed endangered, certain police activities. I was unaware of this until this morning, but certain events taking place in the early hours of this morning make it now possible for my client to speak out.
You want to recall him?
If I may, my lord.
To give evidence that he's withheld?
Yes, my lord.
Very well. You may take the witness box.
Thank you, my lord.
I must remind you that you are still on oath, Superintendent Collins.
Yes, I understand that, my lord.
And did you understand it before?
Yes, my lord. I didn't lie. I left out part of the truth. All I can say in my defense is that I had more to lose than to gain by my action.
That is no defense, and you should know it.
Yes, sir.
You may continue, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, my lord. Superintendent Collins, in your evidence in chief, you told this court that far from taking money from Charles Wallace, you were actually going to pay him for information you were to receive concerning the Charles Robbins killer.
That's right.
And is that the truth?
Yes, but it's only part of the truth. You see, when I spoke to Wallace, he said he had two pieces of information.
The one you have already given in evidence?
And the other was connected with drugs. He said it concerned an incoming shipment. He said both pieces of information would cost £1,000.
And what did you say?
I told him that kind of money was impossible to get. We don't have that kind of money. I told him it would have to come out of my own pocket. Then he said that the people who were involved in the drugs were also the people who were behind the killing of Charles Robbins. I asked him if Alan Stockwell was involved. He said he was. Now, he said it wasn't worth the risk to give me the money. I beg your pardon. He said it wasn't worth the risk to give me the information for £500, but I knew he'd think it over.
How did you know?
Well, I felt he had other reasons besides my giving him the money, my lord.
What reasons?
Getting rid of a rival.
Did he say who that rival was?
He said Paul Matthews was involved.
Ah. The manager of the Yellow Lantern nightclub.
Yes, sir.
The man who was supposed to be your friend.
With respect, my lord, it's happened to other detectives. You think you have the confidence of a man who knows what's going on, who is prepared to help you. He gives you enough to keep you going, and all the time you find he's been doing it to keep you from investigating him, keeping you busy and other things.
Yes?
Thank you, my lord. But there was no mention of this, Superintendent, between you and Markham.
I only told Markham of the information Wallace said he had on the Robbins killing. I didn't mention the drugs. I asked Wallace not to mention the drugs either, and he agreed. The next thing was the passing over of the envelope containing the money instead of the information. When I heard about the taped conversation, I knew I had been fitted up. It was then I contacted an agent belonging to the BNDD.
What is that?
Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. The Americans have an agent in this country. Well, I contacted this man. I told him that I had reason to suspect that Markham had got at an informant over a chain smuggling job. I gave him all the details, and as a result of his investigation, surveillance was kept on a warehouse belonging to Paul Matthews. Now, this morning, a shipment of tinned fruit arrived at this warehouse. The place was raided, some of the tins were smashed open, and were found to contain number 4 heroin.
Just a minute. What does number 4 mean?
Heroin that's been purified to 80 or 90%, my lord. So if I had mentioned that in this court, I would have prejudiced the BNDD operation.
Thank you, Superintendent.
My head is reeling. Let me get clear on this, please. You're after a drug smuggling racket. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you believe that, that Paul Matthews is involved?
Yes, I do.
1 minute you're interviewing someone who admits to being a prostitute, the next minute you're getting information on a brutal murder, and then at the 11th hour, before we can catch our breath, you tell us about a big drugs delivery.
Well, that's how these things happen.
Is it? Is it? I submit that this is a clever move, a very clever move. Your superior officer said you have flair. Well, sir, you certainly have that. Do you know, I've almost forgotten that you stand here on charges of corruption.
The charges against me exist to protect the people who are behind the drugs and the murder.
So you keep telling us. Now, remembering your oath to tell the whole truth, and this is important, did you contact the American agent after you received the £500?
Yes.
Yes. After your conversation with Markham had been recorded, after everything concerning this case.
It was the fitting up. Me being fitted up. Before I'd been suspicious, then I knew.
But what did you know? Did you know of any direct evidence that links Robert Markham with these drugs?
Not direct.
No, you don't. So as far as we're concerned, it's conjecture. And possibly yet another attempt at a cover-up. You see, you may have information about drug smuggling. I mean, you're much too clever to come in and lie about something that we could check on so easily. Now, you tell us that you suspected the drugs would be unloaded at Paul Matthews' warehouse. And it was then you saw your chance of implicating a prosecution witness by association. It was then that you contacted the American agent, gave him the information, and then sat tight. Your timing is slick, sir.
That's very unfair. Partly untrue.
As you said to Miss Lane, I'm just like Humpty Dumpty. Well, Detective Superintendent, you've fallen. You've fallen off your wall, Detective Superintendent. You've smashed into 100 pieces, and you're desperately trying to stick the pieces back together again.
One thing matters to me, one thing I care about, that is law and order. You think I'm playing a game with this drugs business? But I tell you, I had made an agreement with that American agent this morning. And as far as I was concerned, I mean, as far as this trial was concerned, if that raid had not taken place this morning, I would not be speaking about it now. One thing I care about is catching criminals. In this case, the man behind the drugs, and if he's involved, as I believe he is, in the murder of Charles Robbins last year, then, by God, we'll get him for that, too.
The man behind the drugs?
Yes.
You suspect Paul Matthews?
I do.
You do. Has he been taken in? Has he been arrested?
Not yet.
Well, if he was guilty, he'd certainly be on his guard now, would he not? What's wrong, Collins? Has your flair run out? You see, it's too late for pat law and order speeches. I trust that this jury will not be swayed by your flair. I trust that this jury will not be duped by this screen of deception.
There is nothing more distressing than a case of alleged police corruption. The public conscience is always disturbed because upon the testimonies of police officers often depend the findings by the jury as to the guilt or the innocence of the man in the dock. If the accused had gone to his superiors and said, I want your permission to buy some very important information, then he would have covered himself. He has told you that he did not take these actions because there would have been a delay. He has told you that he made false entries in his duty book because he suspected a security leak. But again, he did not tell his superiors. Now, did the accused take these actions, which had the effect of hiding his movements from his superiors, to cover his corruption, or Did he take these actions in an excess of zeal? The Assistant Chief Constable has said that the accused worked alone. He was happy in the front line. He mixed with criminals and brought many of them down. It is for you to decide whether they, in turn, have brought him down. He earned a great deal of credit in the job, and if you are in any doubt on a question of fact, you are entitled to call his character into question in assessing his credibility. Finally, the prosecution, as always, must prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. And if you are satisfied beyond reasonable doubt, then you must find the accused guilty. If you are not so satisfied, if you have a reasonable doubt, then you will find him not guilty. Will you now retire, elect a foreman, and consider your verdict?
All stand. Will the foreman please stand? Now just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
On count one...
Receiving a bribe of £250.
Do you find the defendant, William Collins, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On count two...
Receiving a bribe of £150.
Do you find the defendant, William Collins, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On count three...
Receiving a bribe of £250.
Do you find the defendant, William Collins, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
On count four...
Receiving a bribe of £500.
Do you find the defendant, William Collins, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
The jury in this case was comprised of members of the general public. Cameras will return to bring you another leading case in the Crown Court.